This meeting will now come to order. Roll call, please, Miss Cindy.
Director Arthur,
Present.
Director Coghill,
Here.
Director Giannini,
Here.
Director Leeser,
Present.
Director Woods.
Here. Thank you. Kurt, would you do Pledge of Allegiance for us? Okay. That was easy.
Ready? Begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we can all mic up.
Well, we should do.
So funny.
Everybody, your microphones are going on. Recording. All right. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? I thought maybe we'd have people here with us tonight. Discussion of annexation. Wait a minute.
Nope.
Let me ask, are there any public comments? There are none. All right, consider it, what is it?
Consideration to accept mainline extension.
Consideration to accept mainline extension.
Good afternoon, President Giannini and members of the board. Today before you is a new mainline extension that was ran on Split Rock between Sullivan and Bowling for the new Reset Hotel project. This 685 feet was of 8-inch pipe was installed to bring a second feed into that project, which was needed for the hotel fire suppression. The project has met all the standards and specifications, which was installed by the Van Dyke Corporation. Staff is making the recommendation to accept the new mainline project off of Split Rock. And if the board has any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Director Woods, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Director Arthur?
6 inches standard for that?
They did an 8-inch run, and they tied into 6-inch. So it was, we only had a one-way feed. We actually brought it up during engineering of the project that was a one-way feed. They told us they did not have to do the second feed, and then all of a sudden we had a second set of plans that had to do the second loop. So this is bringing, and we also at the time did some extra valves there too that were not functioning the way they needed to. They also abandoned a line in the project because they got rid of a road that's for that Reset Hotel. So this is just giving them second fire flow in case there's ever an issue with flow there in that area.
This over by the animal shelter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right off
Okay,
Sullivan.
I was just curious if that was, I was over there and saw the construction and everything going on. All right, I got no other questions.
No questions.
And I have none, thank you. All right, item number 2, discussion of
I
annexation.
move,
Well, we need a motion.
I move to accept the staff recommendation to accept the Split Rock Avenue mainline extension that has been installed by the Van Dyke Corporation.
Seconded.
Director Arthur. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Hello, Steve, come on in.
You're up next.
You bet. All right, now, discussion of annexation.
Correct. Before,
We need to get to that.
Before you today is the item of annexation projects. Define the definition of an annexation for our terms as an outside property APN looking to come into the district, but also to have the service that the water district provides. Currently, the district is actually in the process of looking at 2 annexations. But the reason why I went around last board meeting, kind of explained those annexations, and I think it's good to have an open, transparent discussion about annexations to answer questions and to understand the process through LAFCO. So today is mostly just an open discussion about annexations and how you guys feel, allowing properties to start this annexation process into the 29 Palms Water District. And again, just would like to have an open discussion and answer any questions that you guys might have about annexation.
Questions, comments, Director Wood?
I may have a question, but I'll let everyone else go first.
Okay, Director Arthur?
You said we potentially have some?
So currently, I'm working with a customer, and again, I didn't bring too many props because didn't want to dive into those, but currently, we're working with a customer that is asking us for the rights to be part of the water district. So that is a property owner coming to the district asking for annexation. I just want to make sure that when I am out in the community explaining how these annexations work, that I'm speaking for you guys some of those times, because you guys will bring the first annexation resolution to LAFCO, saying that we are in acceptance of going after this annexation. So this property owner is one. He is on the northeast corner of town, and on the southwest corner of town, our water district is outside of a boundary that I would love to do an annexation project on as well. And so I'm kind of looking at both annexations currently.
I think there's a lot of places where we could potentially expand. Is this a thing we have to, does it have to be open to all the voters or just the voters within that area if we say, okay, this neighborhood, if they want to join?
So that's a great question. If you look to an area that doesn't have our service already there, so right now, the two that are in question have our appurtenances and have our infrastructure. They're pretty easy annexations. When you talk about an annexation outside of the district that could include a neighborhood, you don't ask everybody. You ask those parcels that are in, that could be questioned or could have to pay into the infrastructure. The one thing about an annexation is you can't just do an annexation without the existing service available. So let's just say a neighborhood outside of the boundary of 20 lots wanted to do an annexation. With the annexation process, they would have to bring to us how they are going to provide our service, and they would have to pay for it. Current ratepayers would not be on the hook for any of the fees. So this is really keeping the people that are trying to get annexed to then pay for their, kind of like impact fees and be part of the district. So it's a great question because no, it doesn't include all of the voters, but if it affects your lot, you do have to get surveyed and then answer some questions.
Okay.
Yes.
Director Leeser?
So once annexed in, they're in forever, right? They can't annex out later?
Correct.
Okay.
It would be part of the district boundary. Part of the process is also doing legal boundary change. So there'd be plot surveying, there'd be boundary change. At that point, you cannot get out of
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to get out of the
Now, do we
district.
only look at the boundary as it is to the true boundary of the parcel or the property asking to be annexed? Or do we go in and say, we take this much property that overlaps that?
No, in these two cases, it would only be the lots. Because again, if the service couldn't be provided to the other lots, then technically they couldn't be annexed into our boundary.
Okay.
So if you look at our boundary and you see all the lines, that's part of that issue is we do have, wherever our boundary is, we can feed the lots inside that boundary. Not necessarily that infrastructure is everywhere, but that means potentially it could be if they did mainline extensions. Again, this is trying to just bring this to a discussion where everybody knows this board is willing to do annexations for people that can provide the service and infrastructure upgrades that are needed for an annexation into the boundaries.
And we don't have any encroachment where we're coming up on any other districts. Like, we have enough buffer from all other districts. The only one I can think of would be Joshua Tree, correct?
Yeah, Joshua Basin. So then you're now talking about how close their pipelines are compared to ours. So let's just say right outside the boundary, 2 lots away, closer to our side of the boundary, and we have infrastructure. Somebody approached us and said, hey, we're in the Joshua Tree boundary, but we would like to be annexed into you because your services are closer, and could you do it? Technically, they could go to LAFCO and ask for an annexation, but again, in their service, they would have to provide to us how they would get that mainline extension to their property.
Okay.
So it's not just, hey, we're going to annex in this area. Nothing has to be there. No, the service that we provide has to be provided to those customers for the annexation to happen.
And
No more from me.
in the matter of the annexation to the private property, there's no cost to the water district, but there is cost to the requester.
Correct.
In the matter involving the water district attempting or wanting an annexation of the other project,
Mhm.
is there a cost to the water district?
There will be.
There would be.
Yes, there would.
So there would be for that, but not the other.
Correct, because we would be the applicant for the annexation.
What's our cost? Just paying a fee to annex out, or
Well,
because the infrastructure's
there's going to be costs to, go ahead, I'm sorry, Director.
the infrastructure's already there, right?
The infrastructure is there.
Okay.
You're moving the boundary, so you got surveying
Okay,
involved.
survey costs.
You have a LAFCO fee that they collect $15,000. They've told us to the private guy, he'll get about $3,000 back, so we're looking at about 12,000 there. So 12,000, the survey fees. In our code, I read up on annexation. He will also pay this district for infrastructure another $5,000 on top of 4,900. So there's fees he's going to accrue just for this annexation of about 25 to 30K for him to get into our boundary. For us, it's going to be a little cheaper because we're not going to pay our fee per acre of annexation. And we still have the LAFCO fees. We'll still have the survey fees. We're probably still looking at about 15 to 20 for the annexation of the Joshua Tree site.
Are they required to, within their application for annexation, tell us why? Tell us like what purpose they're wanting to be annexed into the water district for? It just seems like a lot of money for them to pay. I would want to know why.
So new construction in San Bernardino County as of 2017 or 18 required a water service or a well. If you don't live in an area where you can produce a well, a private well, your other option is a water service. So along with the annexation fees that the gentleman's up against, he's also up against an $8,000 to $13,000 service fee. So he'll pay our district to put a service in as well. He has to have that service. Is he required to tell us? He's going to tell us that he's building a single-family residence, because if it was commercial or zoned to anything else, they probably wouldn't do it. There will be some environmental stuff, like if you go outside of a single-family residence, that you would have to do CEQA docs. CEQA is environmental studies out there. If you keep it to a single-family residence, you don't have to do some of those things. So even Michael Turpay is with San Bernardino LAFCO. He's who I've talked with many times on the phone. If this was over a commercial project, they would not allow this annexation to go on. So it's got to be single family. They've got to jump through a lot more hoops for it to be a commercial project, including multiple homes.
Will it require, if we annex anything, does it require this board to vote?
You guys will be the ones telling me to go forward with a resolution to LAFCO to start the process. A vote, probably not, because that resolution would be that vote, more than likely.
Any other questions or comments regarding?
When would be the next time that we would be talking about this, as the recommendation is to just have an open discussion today on annexation with no action? So what's the timeline that we'd be talking about this again?
We're in a 21-day escrow. When I say we, I mean the gentleman coming to us for the property. We could see a resolution next month to start this process. If he signs the reimbursement forms that we've provided to him, saying that we go through with this, you'll owe us, a service charge, you'll owe us the acreage annexation charge, and then any other fees accrued, legal charges, legal fees or anything. So the reason why I wanted to bring open discussion is to make sure that you guys and I were on the same page with these miscellaneous annexations that could happen in 29 Palms. And the way that I feel as a staff member of the district is we should provide service where we can, especially if our infrastructure is the closest. It expands our boundary, and it gives people that are just outside our boundary that right to not drill a well at 50K and maybe not hit water. So they have to weigh this out if it is worth the annexation to that property owner.
What do we pay Joshua Basin annually on our property?
So we have a water availability because we are in their assessment district, just like we have a water availability. Our water availability caps out at $1,200. We had that water availability talk 2 months ago. We pay them $1,550 a year in water availability. Now with LAFCO, I did bring Jim Bagley in, the LAFCO community member, to talk about this. This is an ideal annexation for us because we provide the service to that lot. and probably 2 lots around that if people around that area did ask for an annexation. And that's why I just wanted this to be open discussion first, is because if I truly didn't get a sense that you guys were for annexations, then I would have to maybe turn a different way if people approach the district for annexations.
The beauty of that parcel is it borderlines with our district. It's just, and all the infrastructure is ours, the lot's ours. So I don't know how long this has been going on with Joshua Tree, but in time, it's gonna pay for itself to come back, so I'm for it.
I got no further questions. Thank you, Matt.
I'm good.
I'm good. Do I need any motions here?
No action to be taken. I just
All right.
kind of wanted to see where everyone was. Thank you, guys.
Move forward.
Thank you.
Move forward.
Yep.
The next one is item number 3, discussion of meter cost payment plans.
So before you today is another just discussion item, payment plans to install new meters. Back in February of 2021, district meter costs went up, and they went up pretty significantly after completing the most current rate study that was going on at the time. Currently, we do not take payment plans. It is pay in full, and the district has 10 days after it's paid in full to install the service. I would like to have open discussion, see where you are at. I will give you my recommendation as far as a staff member. But I think it's important as customers approach even myself on the phone or in the field about, hey, we'd like a service, but we just can't afford this. What can you do? And so I always explain to them, the district staff is here to make sure policy and procedure is held to a good standard, and you guys will set policy for us. So I just wanted to have this open discussion with you guys, and then I can give you my recommendation on this, or where I feel we should be with it. And then at this point too, there really could be no action, or you guys could also make the decision to have a policy direction and we create policy here. So open discussion.
We'll start with Director Wood.
So are you looking to maybe do or have a policy where I approach and I want to have a meter installed, but I don't have all the upfront costs, so I would make payments until I had paid it off and then you would install?
If that's the direction the board would want to go, that's the only way I say we would go, because it would need to still be paid in full. The approach from customers is not that, though. It's you guys install it and let me have payment plan. And I've told them it's not the way the district works, and I don't see us working that way. But again, that's why I kind of wanted open discussion. There's been 2 or 3 that have come to me. I told an individual out in Desert Heights I would definitely come to the board and bring this item as open discussion.
What's the meter cost for residential service range from about $8,200 to $14,000? That's for the installation of the meter, right?
Correct. So
Okay.
So that ranges from a 5/8 to a 3/4 to a 1 inch. That's most residential. Again, the district does not dictate size of service. Fire suppression dictates size of service. So we are seeing a lot more 1 inch. The $14,000 is an open cut, meaning we've got to cut into asphalt and then do an asphalt repair. So that's a lot more money than just boring under the road. So if the water main's on one side and we have to get to the other side, we have a big drill that we drill under the road and we do a bore is what we call it. That's more money. If we have to open cut asphalt, that's the most, because we're doing an asphalt repair as well. So the 8,200 is the cheap end on the 5/8, where the 14,000 is the expensive on the 1 inch. That's giving you that range so that you guys understand where
Can
we're
you
at.
give me some examples of, you said people had approached you, like, for what purpose? Are they asking to have a water main they're looking to build? Are they looking to upgrade what they currently have? Do they currently have well? I mean, what are the reasons why they're asking for this?
Some of the approaches are people building brand new and just saying, hey, I've been out here forever, and hey, I got a meter cost sheet back in 1986 or 96, and now I look, you get a new meter cost sheet and it's 400% higher, because it is 400% higher from February of 21. one of the incidents that I have right now, there's some illegal water and we can't find where it's going across a property line. And I've been pretty enforceful about he needs to put in a new service. And he's been the bigger push to come to the board and say, can he pay for the service? And it wouldn't be upfront. It wouldn't, he wants us to put it in, tie in this illegal kind of situation that I can't really put my hands on to find out where the water's coming from. So you have all sorts of brand new construction situations you don't want to be in the middle of, but let's try to help because it could have been that way. There's many ranges of different ways that these come about. Sometimes it's people that just have lived here forever and said, man, I really can't do it now that I have this empty lot.
Any questions, Michael?
Yeah, I'm trying to think how I want to word this. Me personally, I'm not opposed to a payment plan. My worry is someone who's looking to upgrade and then sell their property. And then try to, stick us with the bill. I wonder if there's some way to do it if that homeowner is willing to put a lien on their property so that they can't do that. I don't know if that's available to us.
Well, I would say if we were going to allow any kind of payment plans, we would wait till we get everything paid in full, if that's even the route we would go. But let's just say that we would venture to look at something else, it'd be a very short period that they have, maybe a 1-year period, because we wouldn't want this to extend further and further. As far as like them doing that, yes, we would have to figure out maybe a reimbursement clause through the attorneys that they could say, hey, if they reimburse and if they don't, there's a lien action. There's definitely ways, I'm sure, around it. I think one thing we got to remember when we set precedents, this also becomes an accounting nightmare for us. SB 998 and COVID pay and relief and where we were at, we were juggling everybody's accounts. And so I just want us to be aware kind of what we could create too.
I'll say this, as far as a payment plan, and then once it gets paid in full, and then us executing the service, I'm completely on board with, if we want to put that to a vote, I would vote yes. Anything else, that's where I would start having questions.
But if they don't pay, we can't very well repossess the water. So that kind of puts the district, if they don't follow through and they don't pay what they say they're going to, we're stuck with it, period.
Well, that's, I think if it's,
Pull a mirror.
8,200.
We locked the service out anyway.
Pull a mirror.
Yeah, but that's for future. There's no way to recoup what they owed before. That's my issue. And who's paying for that? The ratepayers that pay their bills regularly. We pay the bills for the guys that don't want to pay theirs. So, in a way, the way it's set up right now is a protection for the current ratepayers, in my opinion.
Because I do understand that there are people out there who, they might want a bigger line, they can't afford the cost.
They can go borrow the money somewhere. And then probably have to put a lien on their house to get that money, but let them do that, not us. We don't want to be a,
We don't want to be a bank. We don't want to hold
Yeah.
interest rates.
Yeah.
We don't want to figure out that. I mean, I am in agreement.
be a whole-
We set precedents one time. It stays with us. So, staff's perspective is the way that we do business now is great. But I would love also, just the backing from the board when I go to these people at times to say, hey, listen, board sets policy and procedure. I make sure that it's followed. It's kind of just giving this open forum for that.
There's
Yeah.
also potential for bonding, too. That if we were to do any type of thing, they would have to, no kidding, purchase a bond. So if they did fall through, we're getting our money. We're going back to the bondholder saying, okay, well, you still have to pay us.
Bonding on such a small amount, I'm not sure. I'd have to dive into that. Bonding on an assessment district, let's say we have an area that's going to do a project and we're going to bond and assess that district. Yes, for sure. But again, you got to remember, you're building a house, that's your intention. You can take out the extra money to also
That's a
install
building
services.
cost that
It's
should be
part of the
included up
cost that
front.
can be included.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I more or less wanted to have open discussion because, again, a couple people that have approached, I feel for them, but want to have the discussion that we don't usually set the standard that way.
Well,
I would be more inclined if they were coming here talking to us. I would be more inclined to sit and listen and discuss it with them.
Not me. I can tell them no with them sitting there just like I would if they're not here. So I disagree with it. I disagree. Like Randy said, that should be the cost. Of course, if they already have their house built and they want to expand or upgrade or whatever, then there's other loan.
home equity loans, there's all
Yes.
sorts of possibilities. They have bank, they have assets that can be secured against,
Yeah.
And we are,
which is what I would do if it was me, but
we are an FHA available area, so there is that too.
Exactly, and we would probably need to open up a whole new section to the water district to be a collection agency, you know, and that
Well-
would establish, or we would have to hire more people, more personnel to,
and somebody that wants a meter now, that's hauling their own water or whatever they're doing right now, I'm not opposed to them getting a payment plan, and when the last payment's made, they get the install. I'm not opposed to that, because those are people that may not be doing anything with their home other than I'm tired of hauling water or whatever. But they've been without our service this long, they can wait that much longer till they pay it off, and the sooner they pay it off, the sooner they get the meter. Because what you don't want is to have this cost there drag out until the next rate cycle,
yeah.
and something changes, and who knows what the cost will be at that point, and then they're locked in at whatever rate we set them at. So there should be some urgency for them to pay it off sooner than later to get their service.
And on
Is
a
my
side
thought.
note, that rate study's coming, so we have
Yeah.
a rate study in the next 2
You know,
years.
always worried about if you give me a hamburger today, I'll gladly pay you next Tuesday, but,
Sure.
Okay, whippy.
so, yeah, that's my only concern. I'm not
that
opposed
was-
to it, but install upon final payment.
Yeah, I think.
So that it's
was
secured
mentioned
and we're not playing
somewhere in the
loans.
Paperwork where
Yeah.
it will be paid for 3 days after the installation. No,
Yeah.
no.
And if we do that, it should be final payment at the rate of the date of the install. Because our rates, if
change.
it takes them a long
Yeah,
time and
could.
our rates change, well, guess what? You've been paying all this money and now you're on the hook for a little bit more just because our rates went up.
Yes. And the bottom line is the one that stands the cost of all of it are the regular rate payers, the people that pay their water bill every month.
Matt, what are we talking about? 5, 10 people a year?
Yeah, we've been approached, yeah, maybe 5.
Okay.
Probably less than 5 sometimes, but again, for the fact of having the open discussion and just knowing that, you know, if you're putting in a meter, you've got to be pretty serious about construction. We now, when you put in a meter, we require either a city or a county building permit. If you don't, provide a city or building permit, we're doing marijuana letters so that people can't cultivate on the property illegally
Yeah.
anymore. So there are some other things to still get the service installed, but if you're doing building, add it to your building cost and pay it up front. And,
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a building cost.
Yeah. That's where I feel it should be.
Sitting here in the middle, listening to this back and forth has been very interesting. I had one mindset when I first read it, and I've got a different mindset now vis-a-vis what was said recently. I'm kind of in Carroll and what I'm hearing from Matt, his camp. We already have a policy. Those costs can be borne upon a construction permit or a loan to build with, like Randy's saying. So I think we should hold fast to what we have.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, when we were looking at the rate changes, I was going, man, I want a bigger meter at my house because I want a faster, better shower. But ultimately, it comes down to there's still only half-inch copper pipe in my house, and I'm not
Exactly.
ripping all the walls out to put in
No matter
three-quarter.
No matter how big the meter is, that pipe is still that size.
I'm still not gonna get any more water than I'm getting now. So
True.
anyway,
So I just say we hold the course.
so
And again, there's really no action unless there was some policy that you guys would like to see, and then bring it back as a policy decision.
okay.
That's a good little discussion.
That was pretty.
Well, I
Very
think the
good.
concession is if we, I think the consensus is that if we were to allow it, it would be upon last final payment install,
Oh, yeah,
or stay the course and
Like
you
half
pay
up-
it up front.
half
Yeah.
up front,
Yeah.
final, the
okay.
installation made after final payment, no longer than a year. Yeah, those are some qualifiers right there.
Yeah, but I don't agree with it.
But I say, you stay the course,
But I
right?
was just talking consensus,
Yeah.
you know, so if Matt, if it comes up and the consistency drives more demand, then go ahead by all means, but let's revisit it.
All right. Consent calendar. Matters under the consent calendar are to be considered routine and will be enacted in a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the board, staff, or public requests specific items to be removed for separate discussion and action. Those items are minutes of the regular board meeting dated March 27th, 2024, and the audit list. They'll accept it? Make a motion.
Motion to accept?
Second.
How quickly I forget. I missed one meeting. All those approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Those opposed, none. All right, next up, management reports, maintenance and water quality. They are off on an emergency situation to
They're dealing with the 6-inch valve, and so Mike and Robert have passed reports on, so I'm going to do maintenance and operations and water quality. Operation and maintenance staff for the month of March responded to 61 USA tickets with 0 mainline leaks, repaired 2 fire hydrants, staff generated and performed 610 work orders. For the month, the district turned off 40 water services for non-pay. There was a total of $2,000 in reconnect fees generated in March, not collected, but generated, and there was a total of $7,572 in penalty fees. And if the board has any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Any questions, Director Woods? Director Parker? Director Reeser?
None.
Director Cobb?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, Matt.
Hey, did you get a notebook on the back of yours?
What's next? Finance, Cindy's not with us, so.
Well, I've got finance too. I can do Robert and Cindy's real quick.
Engineering.
Okay, so water quality report for the month of March, chlorine levels maintained throughout the distribution system were of 0.45 mgl. Bacteria samples were totaled, there was a total of 40 routine samples that were collected at test points throughout the distribution system, and all were absent for Collard. Fluoride samples throughout the 15 samples were collected throughout the distribution system with an average of 1.13 mgl, so no issues in water quality. As far as production goes, district staff, there was a decrease from last year of 2.3% throughout the district, and in the same year of 2023, which we always report on, a minus 29%. So that's production. In finance, at 67% of the year, the district had a total revenue of 73%, while total expenditures were tracking right at 67%. Non-operating revenues are 105% of the budget, mostly due to interest rates holding steady and capital impact fees. Next month, Cindy will be here to present the budget in first draft form. She just wanted to let you guys know that she should be off her boot by next month. Cindy's had some foot surgery and she's been out for a couple months. So that's it with finance. And I will be real quick with my management report because there was a lot this month. District staff, if you guys noticed outside, the excavator trailer is here. So the ditch witch is here. We just wanted to make sure that you guys saw, again, what you guys are shaking your heads and approving that we asked for. So that is there. Also behind us is the generator that was stolen and repaired. So the new generator is outside. That came to, this week. The The vacuum trailer came last week. Repairs for that generator were going to be in the $30,000. We're right at $29,253. And again, we have a deductible, so we're upfronting the cost, and we'll get paid back through Aqua JPIA.
So is there any responsibility of those guys that damaged it to have to pay?
We did not find those guys. We found the generator out in the open, and the police were notified. We have an open police report. But at this point, really, Aqua JPIA, our insurance company, is going to take the majority of the hit. Earlier this week, or this month, District and Webb Engineering have signed into contract on the redundant reservoir. Our first job walk is Friday, and engineering services will start on the reservoir, so that's kind of exciting. I just wanted to let you guys know that on April 17th, the State Water Resources Control, or the California Water Board, did create a Chrome 6 MCL, maximum contaminant level at 10 parts per billion. It was the set amount where it was at for about 6 years until they got sued. Last week, I did go up to Sacramento and spoke at the state board, and it was very interesting that I was one of the ones that was against the MCL, and I was one of the few because everyone else wanted the MCL lower. What's scary about that is if the MCL goes lower and everybody learns to treat for 10 parts per billion, and it goes to 2 or 5 or 0, it's more money that's going to come out. So one of my main points to the water board was we need help if you're going to make MCLs that no other state has, which is what's happening right now. And to get these levels as low as they are, we need better compliance periods. So we're fighting for compliance periods. I did take a call with Community Water Systems Alliance today where that attorney is being kind of reviewed again to maybe put this back in the courts about not doing an economic feasibility study like they're supposed to when they do an MCL. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I was up in Sacramento. I just wanted to take this time to thank you guys for supporting our legislative drive. Me going up there is something that I don't love to do, and the more and more that I do it, I get comfortable. But you guys have let me be the representative for 29 Palms in this water district, so that means a lot when they see our face. And when I walk in the board meeting and 2 or 3 of the water board members recognize me and wave, and I think they're happy that we're up there giving our opinion on the MCL. So I just wanted to thank you guys for having the support of allowing us to legislatively do the things that we do with water. So with that being said,
And we want to thank you for representing our district so well.
well, thank you. I appreciate it, and it's a challenge every time I'm up there because I'm not really a politician. But we did also get to go around to local politicians, Tom Lackey's office, and some of the other politicians, and speak with representatives, their staff, about what local issues are going on. And I continue to talk about compliance periods, strict MCLs, and are we a race to the bottom? Right now, we're a really successful water district. We do things right. But if MCLs and money become an issue where we don't have the money to fight these MCLs too long, we're going to be in the same boat. So just asking them for some understanding when it comes to that. So,
Well, you and I can just go to the state if it gets to that point. They'll want to get rid of me. You know.
They do love to have elected officials speaking to elected officials. So remember when I'm doing those Sacramento trips, if anybody's ever available and wants to go and be a part of that, we can go together. It's an interesting time up there. I was right around the corner from the Kings game that I did not go to. Because the next day was the busy day where there was a lot of walking. And it was a great time with the group that we brought up there, Community Water Systems Alliance, and some of the other groups that we're associated with, Aqua, and just the different groups. I appreciate the opportunity to represent us up there, and it was a good time. So, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Well, all right. Can I have a motion for adjournment? Are there any comments or questions as far as Matt's presentation?
None.
Okay. Then a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
It's been a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nobody opposed.
Smack your gavel.
Yes, of course Steve is.
Hi, Steve.